This has to be one of my biggest pet peeves of the modern gaming world that's become infested with slimy corporate practices. When you have established so much goodwill amongst your user base, tarnishing it just to appease your corporate overlords or shareholders is extremely scummy, but I guess at the end of the day, it's all about the balance sheets. Regardless, I hate how prevalent of a practice this has become in the gaming industry and also the tech industry, where you purchase a product, then X amount of days later, there's a mandatory update that wasn't there before, preventing some from accessing the game they paid for. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on, guys? Danny here. Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you've all been doing well. I wanted to talk to you guys today and discuss this anti-consumer practice that's becoming more and more prevalent in the gaming and tech industry. It's been happening a lot these past couple of years, and the most recent addition to joining this group is HellDivers 2. HellDivers 2 is a game that's received quite a lot of positive feedback since it was released on Steam. I haven't really played it much myself, aside from using it for some quick hardware tests, but from having conversation with friends, with people online, and reading user reviews, it seems like a very fun game. The concept of the game involves you either solo or working as a group with other Helldivers to drop onto planets to complete objectives and then extract while fighting hordes of alien creatures or advanced robotic armies. The game is known for its varied environments, multiple enemy types, and intense gameplay that offers a huge catalog of weapons, emotes, armors, and abilities to unlock. It's the combination of these elements that has made HellDivers 2 such a beloved game among its player base. What also made it so much more appealing is that it offered all of this content and didn't cost as much as your typical AAA game at $69.99 or $79.99, it was just $40. Along with that, what made it particularly appealing to PC players is that it also worked on a wide variety of hardware. This was something I did discuss on the channel recently, where we were looking at why nowadays gamers aren't so inclined to upgrade their GPUs when a new generation comes out, and with HellDivers 2 in particular, I saw people who had GTX 1070s, which is an 8-year-old card, still able to run it at 1080p with playable frame rates. This game was so popular at the start that players were met with a login queue because the servers just couldn't handle the influx of players, and eventually the developers made a statement that they had increased the server capacity to accommodate the larger player base because of how quickly it just became popular. You can see using the reviews on Steam and look at how much it was praised earlier when it came out, but as of recently, it's just been bombarded with negative reviews. The reason for this is because of a recent update that's just enacting a totally anti-consumer policy, and they deserve the backlash they're getting for it. Starting on May 6th, 2024, all new HellDivers 2 players on Steam will be required to connect their Steam account to a PlayStation Network account. Current players on Steam will start to see a mandatory login from May 30th and will be required to have a linked Steam and PlayStation Network account by June 4th. This change was introduced to improve player safety features, according to Arrowhead and Sony. Yeah, no it wasn't. I always find it hilarious when companies indulge in this kind of garbage and then they claim they're doing it for the user's quote-unquote safety and security. Everyone knows the real goal for Sony's requirement here is that it'll be a nice, quick, and easy way for them to boost up their PSN subscriber count, which will look great on their end because they can present it to whoever, such as shareholders, and make it seem like they're doing better than they actually are. Along with that, this will add to the pile of users that they can data mine off of and sell their information. It's all about increasing profits. Along with that, you can just Google the amount of times Sony has encountered data breaches. They're not exactly instilling confidence in anyone by saying that. And I haven't had the experience of using a PS5 recently, or using any PSN account for that matter, but from what I hear, their sign-up process in some countries and regions requires you to go through a verification process, and part of that verification process requires you to send in government-issued photo IDs. That is just something I'm not really comfortable doing, especially for just a gaming service. They didn't even find a way to incentivize it. At the very least, what they could have said was, hey guys, for those that link their PSN accounts, they'll get this cool skin or something like that. In any case though, this really shouldn't be a mandatory requirement, it should be optional. The game functioned without this requirement for months. I've seen a number of people defending this, stating that what's the big deal, a PSN account is free anyways, or that they had already stated this at the start, so you should have been prepared for this. But in my opinion, if it was an actual requirement, then they really should have found a way to make it a requirement mandatory at the start so people knew what they were getting into, and for those that didn't want it, they shouldn't have had to.
And will be required to have linked a Steam and PlayStation Network account by June 4th. PlayStation Network accounts are free and easy to set up using this link. No, I will not be creating a PlayStation Network account. I have requested a refund for the game, and I have changed my review to negative. That is not happening. This is not a troll. This is directly from them. I refuse to do this. No, absolutely not. Not a little bit, not at all. Not even one more. Steam will not refund you? Don't give a shit. I'm still putting in a refund request. I don't care if Steam doesn't refund. I put in a refund request specifically because they are removing my access as a player unless I create a third-party login account. I will be refunding. Whether Steam says yes or not is up to Steam. This is unacceptable.
People should be asking for a refund, and I'm hoping Valve makes an exception here with these users because they've been essentially locked out of playing this game unless they comply. What makes matters worse is that PSN is available in 69 countries in the world, and I think Steam is available in a lot more regions. So if a user wishes to play HellDivers 2 in a region where PSN is no longer available or isn't available, then unfortunately they won't be able to anymore, which is just extremely shitty for them because they were able to play the game just fine without any issues prior to this update, but now they can't because of something that's out of their control. And some comments I've seen from degenerates or corporate drones defending this policy like tough luck, better play something else, or haha, you better move to a first world country. Seriously, what the hell are you guys doing? You're only empowering these corporations to extort and screw over their customers with this kind of complacent behavior. I want to share a story and experience I had from last year with you guys, and I'll explain why I get irritated or somewhat frustrated when I hear about crap like this. One day while doing some work on my computer, I received an email from what looked like Rockstar support, except it was all in Chinese. The email address itself was completely legit, but for some reason the entire email was in a totally different language. Using a translator, I was able to read the contents of the email only to find out that someone had somehow changed the email address on my Rockstar account. The reason why this is such a big deal is because on Steam, games like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 had an update later on where now pressing play doesn't launch the game right away. It first opens the Rockstar launcher, it authenticates your account with your email, and then launches the game. This wasn't the case before. Prior to that Rockstar launcher update, as soon as you'd press play, the game would launch. That's it. There wouldn't be another launcher or sign-in required. However, due to the fact that somehow someone gained access to my Rockstar account and had linked it to their email address, the Rockstar launcher couldn't authenticate my account through Steam. It would just give me an error, and then I couldn't play my own damn games that I had paid for, all because my account got compromised because of their garbage security. I contacted Rockstar support and got zero help whatsoever. Just some generic automated replies. It wasn't until I stumbled upon a Reddit thread of users who had fallen under the same compromises and had discussed a method on how you can retrieve your account by going through these various hoops of making a dummy account, then clicking on some recovery options. It was a total mess, and I couldn't believe that I had to go through this all because of something that wasn't even my fault. Following their instructions, I was able to successfully gain control of my Rockstar account, and then I could finally play my own games. If Rockstar hadn't updated their games later so that they'd have to authenticate through their own shitty launcher, then this wouldn't even be a problem in the first place. And the fact that I received no help from them made it all the more distasteful because these were games that I thought I owned, but because their launcher and security is so hot garbage, it prevented me from playing them. The same thing can essentially happen with a player's copy of HellDivers 2. What happens if their linked PSN account is compromised and they can no longer sign into their account, which therefore prevents them from playing the game through Steam, all because of an additional sign-in requirement? And like I said, Sony has quite the extensive history when it comes to data breaches and hacks. My Rockstar games were working just fine without the incorporation of Rockstar's garbage launcher. And the same applies with HellDivers 2. When developers and publishers push these updates that unnecessarily add an extra layer of sign-in, whether that's through another launcher or a linked service account, it hinders the overall experience for the user and can easily jeopardize their accessibility. But unfortunately, these kinds of practices are just becoming more and more common, and not just in the video game industry, but this is also happening in the tech industry as well. I'm sure you're all aware of Louis Rossmann, and I love his channel because he's always sharing which companies are indulging in these kinds of anti-consumer and garbage corporate practices. There's been many examples where a consumer who purchased a product with a set of advertised features such as a security camera or baby monitor then gets surprised months or a year later down the road with the company pushing an update through their cloud software which takes away some of those key features and hinders its functionality, and if you want to get it back, then you have to pay a subscription for it, even though those features were free to begin with. Recently, Roku was caught under a negative spotlight for coercing owners of their TVs to signing a arbitration clause, and if they didn't agree, they wouldn't be able to use streaming apps on their own device, essentially rendering a major part of its selling point useless. But circling back to HellDivers 2, I've seen people suggest to users outside of PSN supported regions that why not just use a VPN and lie about which country you live in. While that could temporarily circumvent this problem, it does violate Sony's terms of service, and you risk getting your account banned. The other problem is that say you do get by with lying about your region, and then Sony has another data breach and your account gets hacked. Well, good luck trying to recover it, because as part of their verification procedure, your region will come up, and when they find out that you lied about your region, you're not going to get your account back, and then therefore it's going to prevent you from accessing the game you paid for. So this is why it's so crucial that these practices don't become the norm and consumers don't accept it. From what I hear, according to the devs of HellDivers 2, there's some ongoing discussions internally about this policy, and I'm hoping that they end up reversing the decision. And to be clear, most of this is perpetrated by Sony, but in any case, getting over 80,000 negative reviews in a span of one day is really not a good look. They have completely tarnished all of that goodwill that they built in a matter of 4 to 5 months, and this is how you effectively kill a healthy player base. Even if there was a disclaimer at the start, they should have found a way to make it a mandatory requirement from the start, so at least players knew what they were getting into, and for those that didn't want it, they'd move along and say, you know what, I'm just gonna request a refund. They'd be within their 2 hours and, you know, all is well, business as usual. But dropping the update in the middle and then creating this inconvenience should not have been done, and they should have left it alone, or at the very least make it optional. These practices highlight a concerning trend where consumers' purchases can essentially become useless if the developer or manufacturer decides to make a future update that wasn't initially agreed upon. If the consumer doesn't agree with these changes, they're often left with no recourse. It's important for us as consumers to voice our concerns and push for more consumer-friendly practices in the industry. After all, video games are about enjoyment and escapism, and these anti-consumer practices can significantly detract from that experience. Alrighty guys, so that's going to do it for this one. We'll touch base in the next video. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.